Hello, ladies. How are you? Happy and blessed Tuesday. I'm so excited to be here with you all. And I know there's going to be a bunch more hopping on, but I want to say bravo to you for being on time. I'm a punctuality freak. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Judy Weber. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me in just a bit, but I very much value punctuality and commitment and showing up. So bravo to you. Okay, so we are here to talk about 3Xing your real estate business next year. And actually, as we go through the 5 shifts that I'm going to be talking about, you can change that number. You can make that 5X or 10X. Truly, I want you to understand that you see right up front, faith-fueled women in real estate. We are, as believers in Christ, and if that's not you, sorry, not sorry, this is not for you. But if that is you, you will so love this because with Christ, nothing is impossible. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll leave the rest. But here's what you're going to learn in about the next 45 minutes or so. You're going to learn my sophisticatedly simple business model that my top agents and broker clients are using to generate 6 figures and scale towards 7 figures. You're going to see some testimonials throughout and kind of what women are doing. And these are just some of many. A bunch of these are in my mastermind, so I did want to feature them. But we're going to do this without working 24/7. Okay, are there any ladies here that are thinking, I'm working too hard, I'm working too long, and I've had enough? I mean, if that's you, you are not alone, I can assure you. You can also do this without Facebook ads. You can do Facebook ads, but that's not going to fix some of the problems that we're going to be talking about. So before Facebook ads, you need to get your foundation of your business well established. And you can 3X your business next year without feeling salesy, and certainly without spending all day on social. Because if you're like me, social media is not necessarily something that you enjoy. Okay, that may or may not be you. But okay, let's talk about who this is for. This is for ambitious, and may I say unapologetically ambitious, service-driven female real estate agents, brokers, team leaders who are committed to dominating in your market. Okay, now, if as I say that, there's like this visceral feeling of, wait a minute, I'm a Christian, I shouldn't be dominating anything. That sounds like I'm being pushy. That sounds like, okay, listen, you're going to love what I'm going to be sharing later about the parable of the talents and some other things. So stay tuned. But if you really want to do big things in your business, and what that means is you're doing big things, so you are serving very well and at the highest level. So if you're committed to doing that while doing business God's way, you're in the right place. And if you're excited to implement systems, okay, not flying by the seat of your pants, but systems that allow you to serve your clients at that highest level and run your business truly as a CEO. And I want to say this too, and I don't know where you are as far as earlier in your career or later in your career. And even if you've been in this for years, I have known women who have repeated year 1 for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years until they quit. And it's such a shame. And one reason that happened is that they weren't treating their business as a business, right? They almost considered themselves a pseudo employee of the broker. And they were looking for the broker to give them leads. And I teach my clients to say, you know what? Broker leads are icing on the cake. But as a CEO, you need to find your own clients, and even more, create demand, which we're going to be talking about. So whether you're just starting out or you're ready to scale beyond 6 figures, you are going to get some great value from our time together. Here's exactly what I'm going to be talking about: how to structure your faith-fueled business in a way that's sustainable and profitable, unapologetically profitable, again, because we're serving in a big way. And here, simplicity wins every time. And so I'm going to be talking about a sophisticatedly simple business model. You don't need to run, hurry scurry all over the world and hustle. Hustle is not anything that I teach. It's not necessary. And I know some of the popular gurus out there and the women that for some reason even some Christians follow, and they have, I'm going to say it, they have their boobs sticking out. They dress provocatively. It's like nonsense. Why are we following people like that? Don't. Do we want to live like that? I don't think so. So anyway, I'm going to teach you how to structure your business in the right way. Okay. And I'm going to also show you where to focus your time and your efforts in order to create demand, right? To get more leads, quality leads. And that's even if you're brand new in real estate or you've moved to a brand new area. Okay. And we're going to talk about the number one secret to sales presentations that actually convert. And it really, this is going to blow your brain. It really doesn't matter. Like what you say isn't as important as the conviction behind what you're saying and the confidence behind what you're saying, right? Then we're going to do some math about exponential growth in your business and the simplicity of what I'm going to show you. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, why did I overthink this? And again, all of this hinges upon your identity. That's going to ultimately determine your success. And we're going to talk more about this, but I do want to land here for just a moment. I want you to understand that not just who you are in Christ, but who you believe yourself to be is ultimately what's going to determine your success. Okay, that's huge. Okay, because you could be this strong, powerful, smart, savvy, people look at you and they think you got it all together, but you don't see yourself that way. You may see yourself as a victim or an underdog or, just self-deprecating in so many ways. And that is absolutely standing between you and the business that God has for you. I can tell you that, sister, for sure. Okay. Now, very briefly, who I am. You can see from the pictures, like I'm all about joy. If you don't have joy in the doing, then why are we doing it? Okay. So I've been blessed a couple of years ago being voted among the top 100 people in real estate as a real estate coach. I've appeared on ABC local television. I was featured in Forbes online. I've spoken on stages, and I have a podcast. It's called the Joyful Scaling Podcast. It's all things life and business for Christian women. If you have not checked it out, please do so. 300 plus episodes, sure to have something for you to take away and to help you, not only in, again, building your business, but also building a more faith-filled and joy-filled life. So when I'm talking about 3Xing your real estate business in 2023, what's it really take? Well, we're going to talk about 5 shifts. And these shifts include skill set, i.e. actions, but also a big part of it is your thought set, which other people say mindset, but I want to get really specific because it's our thoughts that determine our results. And if you're taking notes, I would highly encourage you to say that. If you take nothing else away from today's presentation, but you take this away and really take it to heart, it's going to change your life. It's absolutely going to change your business. We get to choose our thoughts, right? We get to choose what we believe. And our brain, it's so funny because God set us up to fail. I say that all the time. God set up man and woman, husband and wife to fail because man, wants to be respected and we want to be loved and we just think differently, right? So without God, marriage is going to be tough. And also, I believe that life is going to be tough if we don't look to him, if we just kind of go our own way. And if we let our brain do what it naturally does, which is defaulting to the negative. Does this sound familiar? Right? Our brain loves to find problems. And even when solutions are presented to them, if you find yourself saying, yeah, but, and your brain naturally looks for another problem. So this is where I'm saying, ladies, your thoughts and your thought set, that's why I focus on it, because you can take all the actions in the world, but if you are not believing yourself to be a powerful CEO and someone who can really help people, that expert, that action is not going to get you anywhere. Okay, so let's talk about these 5 shifts. And before we do that, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, I just praise you, God, for how you're bringing ladies together. I know that you have called us, your daughters, to really trust you more and stop playing small. That it's not about the dollars, it's about the value that we provide. And it's about being bold and courageous enough to take stands and stand firm in our convictions and values and serve those who you've deemed that we should be serving. And so help us, God, to always go to you first for not just kind of bringing you along for the ride, but putting you in the driver's seat, Lord. because I know from personal experience for myself and my clients that when we look to you, you are so gracious in downloading and revealing things that there's no way it came from any other source but from you. So Lord, I pray that this masterclass content is edifying to you, Lord. It's a blessing to you, and it is in alignment with everything that you are, God, because that is the purpose. And please, Lord, if there are distractions with the ladies, whether they're watching with me live or on the replay, God, may you eliminate those distractions and help them to stay focused in their hearts and in their minds to serve you. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. So here's the first shift. It's important that you set up your business in what I call a sophisticatedly simple business model. And I just love that. Like I love the juxtaposition of sophistication with simplicity, because what I've learned, I've been an entrepreneur since 2003. And one thing I didn't mention is I am a former trial lawyer. I was a medical malpractice defense attorney. And so I would go through piles and piles of medical records, complex medical records, and I would deal with medical experts because I had to understand the science. And, I'm not a sciencey person, but it was so much fun to dig in to the records and science and get to know what I needed to know to take the complex and make it simple. And so it was a very sophisticated practice, but success in that medical malpractice trial practice required me to take this complex stuff and make it simple, so that the judge and the jury would understand it. And so similarly, we can make business as complicated as we like, but that's not the best way to go, because if you're working harder than you would like to, no doubt you have this complicated business model. Okay. So what does that look like? Well, you have a scattered focus. You're constantly distracted. Okay. And there's not a woman that I've ever met who didn't at some point in our conversation say, I think I have ADHD, whether you're diagnosed or not, because again, it's our natural brain. When we get into work, and even if you love to work, right? Even if you find joy in that, a lot of times when we get into a project, there will be an element to it that we resist. And so when we get to a certain point, then we pull away and then we shift focus, we get distracted. That's a complicated business model. We're doing more than we need to. Another element to the complicated business model that I want you to steer away from is not having a best client. Some call it an ideal client, but I like to think of who's my best client. And I know, especially in real estate, they're like, oh, I can serve everybody. Respectfully and lovingly, I say that wasn't the question. Of course you could serve everybody. But when you drill down and you say, you know what, and I'm going to give you some examples in just a bit, I really want to work with this set of people, right? I really want to work with that set of people. I'm telling you, your marketing gets more dialed in as you speak directly to them. And so if you are afraid to choose a best client, then again, there's a lot of lovingly admonition here. So I will say, we have two choices in life. We're going to either choose faith or fear. That's it. Just like there's two sources of power in the world, the Lord God Almighty and the enemy. It's that simple. And so when I look at it like that, and when fear comes up or anxiety comes up or stress comes up, then I say, I have a choice to make. Am I going to choose the Lord in faith, or am I going to let the enemy win? I never want the enemy to win. Can I get a hallelujah or an amen in the chat on that, even though I can't see it? I'll see the thing pop up. Okay. And then the idea of specialization. And you might say, Jude, now you're going crazy. Okay. If I say I want to work with first-time home buyers, for example, or luxury sellers, that's enough. Now you want me to specialize? Well, that may or may not be enough to specialize. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But the point is, I want you to become known for something in your market. I don't want you to be one of like thousands. I want you to stand out. And the only way to do that is to be very clear on who your best client, who do you work with, and what is your specialty. All right. Complicated business model also involves working 24/7. A lot of people pleasing going on, right? And you know that this is overworking because you're not getting results. Right? How many of us, and I think probably all of us, have had this incident where a client that may have ghosted us, and now all of a sudden they come back onto the scene and they go, I found this house. I want to go see it. I need to go see it today. And we're in the middle of dinner, or we're in the middle of putting our little ones to bed, whatever the case may be. And it's like, okay, I don't want to miss out on the commission. And so we just jump. Well, let me ask you, do you know any other professional, like a physician or an attorney or an accountant or an architect or an interior designer that would be available 24/7? No, you don't have to do that. And if you think you do, that's just a thought. Let's choose a different thought. The thought being, I am a sought after expert and I provide an amazing service. I specialize here. I work with these people. And so they value me so much that there's no way they would text me at 10 at night, or if they would, expect me to respond. Okay. What else does a complicated business model look like? Inconsistent revenue, because there's no systems in place. So you might have a great month, and then all of a sudden the well runs dry. Okay, we'll talk about that. Also, running the business feels hard. And you might wake up every morning or a lot of mornings with like that sick feeling in your stomach, like, oh gosh, especially at the beginning of a month. Oh, where am I going to find my, clients this month? It doesn't have to be that way, right? We need joy in our business. We need joy in our life. And that's what the Lord God offers: peace, joy, calm. Let's go for that, right? Another complicated business model component is little time off. You feel like you're always working and you're never caught up. Okay. And let's be honest. We could always work. We could work 24/7 and still never be done. And that is where we need to focus and be committed to kind of unapologetically drawing the line in the sand. So here are some major components on a sophisticatedly simple business model. It's intentional focus. And basically, I liken it to, you're a CEO. What CEO do you know out there in the corporate, Inc. 500 that would allow somebody else to throw a monkey wrench in their day? Just wouldn't happen. And if you say, well, Judy, that's because they're making X number of dollars and they're working for a big company and they have a whole team, they can do that. Well, again, that's a thought. And so I urge you to think about that. What would happen if I set my workday among these hours and I'm very intentional and I'm focused and I have systems in place to leverage my time and I know what I'm doing in the way of marketing. And so, when the day is done because I'm focused, because I have a strategic plan. I know what I'm doing. Okay. What else is involved in a sophisticatedly simple business? Well, again, you have your best clients clearly defined. You're known as a specialist in whatever it is that you specialize in. Here's a big one: establishing boundaries. And I mentioned work hours, not only with respect to your clients and prospects, but also with other agents. And how about dealing with difficult agents? Some of us just allow them to walk all over you, and you don't have to do that, right? It's you allow yourself to be treated the way you put yourself out there. And so again, it's about, who do I believe I am? It goes back to identity always, right? Who do you believe you are? Next, you will have consistent revenue because you have systems in place that are going to allow you to leverage your time so that you have predictable income. You know where the leads are coming from because you have these engines, these systems going on in the background. We're going to talk about that in a second. So the revenue is consistent. Of course, you're going to have better months than others, but you're solid in the systems that are working for you so that you don't have to work 24/7. Also, running the business is joy-filled, and stress and anxiety is replaced with CEO skills, right? Powerful decision-making and problem solving. When problems come up, it's so awesome when you get to the place as a CEO where you're like, I can solve this. I love when problems come because I can solve it. I love that challenge. And if that's not you, that's where you can be in short order once you decide it, right? And your faith-fueled business, I can't even see what's here, but what did it say? I don't know what it said. Your faith in your business, but you live your faith in your business. And I'll never forget years and years ago when I felt like God saying, why are you kind of siloing your faith outside of business? Because this is my business, Jude. Everything you have is mine. So I know you're a control freak, but give it to me and look to me. There was no need to be fearful. There was no need to be desperate. There's no need to be hustly. Okay. All right. So then with all of that, you might be saying, this is a question that a lot of women ask especially in the earlier stages of the business. And that is, okay, that sounds great, but how? But that's the wrong question. The right question is who? Okay, that's a mic drop moment. And you might say, what are you talking about? Okay, so each component that I just went through of the sophisticatedly simple business model requires that you make decisions, right? Requires that you decide, what is my strategic plan? Who are my best clients? What will I specialize in? And so on, right? And so in order to make a decision means you make a choice, but here's the second part and a real important part, and that is you've got to commit to the decision. And what I find is when you're not solid in your identity, what happens is you make choices, but you don't stick with them. You're not committed to them. And so you change your mind and you ruminate in the doubt and the indecision. And so imagine if that's you and you say, I'm going to work with the luxury market, but then all of a sudden the enemy plants a fiery dart and then you're thinking, ooh, I haven't had enough experience to be a luxury agent. And so now you're going to be first-time home buyers. So now your marketing's flipped around and now you don't even know who the heck you're serving because you're just doubting everything. Okay, that's a problem. There's no way that you can establish a business that's sustainable and joyful when you can't commit to the decisions that you make. That's really when you don't commit, you're not really making a decision at all, right? So before you're able to make those powerful decisions and stay committed, you've got to be strong in your identity. And so what is that identity? You're a faith-fueled woman of God, and we'll talk about faith-fueled versus faith-based in a moment. So do you take action in faith? I don't know. Do you? Or is it more action based on, oh, I'm feeling desperate. I'm afraid I better, do X, Y, or Z because some guru told me to do it, right? I teach my clients to think like a CEO because that's one thing, learning how to think as a lawyer. Those were really powerful skills that I love to instill in my clients. So do you stand strong in your identity as a faith-fueled woman of God? And how do you feel about a sought-after expert? Would you describe yourself that way? Interesting, right? And do you identify as a smart CEO or as a CEO at all? Or do you understand you're a business owner, right? And here's the amazing thing. Your identity flows from your faith, right? Because you have your faith as a foundation. And from that faith, you have a perspective and you have a belief system. And from the belief system flows your thoughts. And that's why everything goes back to faith and ultimately to Christ. And so a primary tenet of everything I teach is the faith-fueled thought model, where we intentionally choose thoughts that are grounded in the truth of Scripture. And with that, like my confidence is not in me, Judy Weber. My confidence is in who Christ made me to be. My confidence is in him. Amen. Right? And that I can be confident in and sure of, no matter how I'm feeling that day. We can't trust our feelings. And so here's what I want to say about faith-based versus faith-fueled. Faith-based is full of hope. Oh my goodness. It's, the hope of things not seen, right? It's belief before seeing. But faith-fueled, and God gave me that, is the miraculous realized. That's my mission. The miraculous realized, right? And so I don't care what is probable, what is likely, what is reasonable. Later, I'm going to show you that even if it's in your first year of business, you can make 100,000. It's really not that hard. And you can, grow from there. So I want to give you this example, a couple of specific examples when it comes to identifying your best client. It could be as simple as first-time home buyers versus luxury sellers versus multi-unit investors. And again, we're talking about clarity. You've got to be clear before your audience can be clear, right? And simplicity. Don't overthink this stuff. And then leveraging. We'll talk about that more specifically. Okay, so that was identifying your client. Just choose it. Next is, what do you want to be known as? Where do you want to specialize? You could be a luxury sales specialist, right? And so this could be what you tell your audience that you do. I find your buyer with targeted marketing. And so that allows me to sell your home in days, not weeks or months, for top dollar. Now, I know we've just come out of an amazing market where we hardly had to do anything and houses flew off the market. Now we're changing. But still, when you're experienced, this could be true for you, right? Another example could be that I'm a luxury buyer's agent. And so I help professional couples find their forever home and I negotiate the best terms. Like negotiating. How many realtors? I'm just so tired of the same old realtor stuff. And you know who else is tired of the same old realtor rhetoric? Your audience. So stand out. What do you want to specialize in? Luxury buyer agent. Great. And what do? I help you find your forever home and I get you the best price because I am a stellar negotiator. Do you see the conviction with which I'm speaking? Is that the conviction with which you speak when you talk to prospective clients? Right? And here's another example. Maybe you're that luxury buyer agent, but you decide and you get to that you want to specialize in finding off-market opportunities for the most discriminating residential real estate buyer. Think about that. Think about that. And I don't want you to say, oh, but I'm too young or I haven't been in real estate long enough. Wait a minute. You can decide this is where I want to specialize in. And luxury buyers buying in the millions, they want to be called a discriminating buyer, right? So this is all about wordsmithing, but there is substance behind the words. And you are very clearly and intentionally putting description to what your specialty is. And it's going to stand out. Have you ever heard anybody say this? I've heard one kind of, sort of similar. Okay. Another element to the sophisticatedly simple business model that I wanted to talk about when I'm saying you have to implement systems, right? So you can leverage your time and generate predictable revenue. Look, you can, when you say what kind of systems? Well, you can have a system to consistently generate new leads. That could be Facebook ads. It could be putting on seminars. Gosh, there's so many different ways of generating new leads. If you work with buyers, a beautiful way to generate new leads is co-hosting a housewarming party. And it doesn't cost you that much. And we could talk about that if we were ever to work together. But do you have that system in place where the new leads just come in, right? You're taking action or not, depending on whether it's automated or not, but it's constantly going. All right, another system is continually nurturing warm leads. What are you doing? Too often I find it's willy-nilly. Oh gosh, I haven't written to my email list. I guess I better do that. And it's been 2 months. And then you're on a rip. And so you might reach out to them 3 times a week and then you don't write to them again for another like 4 or 5 months. Okay. We need a system. And if we can automate that, beautiful. Another system is, what are you doing to ensure a wow client experience every time for your clients, whether they're buyers, sellers, investors? Like, do you have it written down? And you know what? A lot of these systems, when I say system, it may, like, I know for me years ago, I just like overthought it. Oh, system. First of all, I'm thinking it's expensive and it's techie and it's just overwhelming. Let me tell you, you see that word there, simple? Sometimes it's just writing out what you're already doing, but being more intentional about the frequency of what you're doing, right? And not willy-nilly and just trusting your memory. Okay, so don't overthink when I say system. All right, another system is, what do you have in place to make sure you're getting client testimonials? And I say with these because it can be light and fun, not a drudgery and making you nervous to even ask the question. Okay. And then another system is a referral program. How often are you reaching out to your past clients and how are you doing that? I don't know why this picture isn't coming through, but Ruthie is one of my mastermind clients and we've been working for years and years and years. She 2X, then 3X, then 5X her revenue when she chose one best client and implemented a lead gen system religiously. Like, she does not let if something was supposed to go out Thursday, she doesn't wait until Friday or the following Tuesday. Okay. So a lot of this is about an aspect of CEO, which is, do you do what you say you're going to do, right? When you say you're going to do it, no matter what you feel and no matter how your day went. And I know that can be difficult, but all right. So that was shift one, a sophisticatedly simple business model. So I'm not going to look at the chat right now, but feel free to say that sounds cool. Or if you have any questions, okay, because I will see if I have time at the end to answer them. All right. Shift number two is creating demand. Creating demand. Have you ever thought about that? What if you could control not only the quantity, but the quality of your leads? Like, do you think you do? What if your lead gen efforts were predictable and really in your control? And what if you never had to chase clients and instead they sought you out? Well, you can, right? And so I have what I call the demand formula, which is a whole protocol that you go through in order to do exactly that, to stand out, to set yourself apart, to consistently show up and implement the systems and things we've been talking about. But I can tell you, creating demand is in your control. And if you think it's not, that's just a thought. It's not the news. Like, it's not a fact that I have to wait for clients to raise their hand. Well, no, because right now, in whatever market you're in, there are people looking for an amazing agent, maybe like you, but are they seeing you? But if you showed up there and they saw what you stand for and they saw the results you're getting for your clients, I mean, would they reach out to you? Great question, right? But here's the deal. And I alluded to this, and I really want to emphasize this. Your actions as it relates to creating demand is not as important as your thoughts while taking them. Let me give you a quick example. If you attend, if you put on a seminar, okay, let's say it is a seller seminar. But as you take that action, you're standing in front of a group of 10 or 20, okay? But all the while, your brain is going to the point of, who do you think you are? Sit down. Nobody wants to hear from you. These guys are way beyond you. Like, as far as, you've only been doing this X number of years, and if you're telling yourself this negative stuff while you're up there trying to look the part, I can tell you there's going to be like this. And I say energy in quotes because I don't like how the world has kind of stolen energy. But the fact of the matter is, have you ever had a conversation and you just click and you can't even describe why? But yet you've also had a conversation with someone when they seem nice enough, but there was just something in your gut that you didn't connect. This is what I'm talking about. There's an energy. And so if, as you're presenting, you are doubting yourself and you are talking negatively to yourself, it's going to come through, right? You can't hide that. Okay. So to make this point, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think about somebody that you follow on social and you really respect, no matter what they are. It doesn't have to be in real estate, in other words. But I want you to think of that person. And then I want you to ask yourself, why do I think highly of that person? This would be a great exercise for you to do tonight. Why do I think so highly of them? And then what feelings come up when I think about them, right? And then how would you describe the value that they impart when you see them online? Because you see, your thoughts and feelings about them flow from the confidence that they display, right? Their confidence, how they're showing up through the words, through their tone and inflection, through their body language, through their client testimonials, and all of that. Okay. So I want you to really understand that confidence, we may not feel confident, but confidence comes as a result of who you believe you are. How many of us, and this is so funny, and I'm a pro woman. If you know me, I'm a pro woman. How many of us have been in a room with a man who is just a blowhard, he's arrogant, but boy, he's got the confidence, and he's not cute or anything like that, and he's not real smart or whatever, but boy, he exudes confidence. You know why? That guy believes he is somebody of value. And even if you're turned off by that, there's a part of you that kind of is drawn to him because of the confidence that he exudes. I mean, let me just say, I don't hire men, even though I have 3 beautiful boys. I love supporting women. But when a guy has that, part of me, most of me doesn't really care for it, but there's a part of me that's like, I just scratch my head and I think, I know so many smart, amazing women, and they don't have a fraction of this guy's confidence. I wonder where it comes from. But where it comes from for us Christians is in who we are in the Lord. He doesn't make losers. He makes winners only. So it's like when we self-deprecate, we go, oh, if somebody compliments you on how you look, or, you did a great job on that transaction, and you keep poo-pooing it away, and, you don't want to accept any of the adulation. I get that. But yet and again, should we not, accept that, say thank you, and throw the glory to the Lord, right? Confidence in who we are in him. Okay, because the more clear you are in your identity, absolutely, the more demand you're going to create. People are going to be drawn to you in that regard. Okay. Now, I talked about the demand formula. There are 3 keys to the demand formula. Okay, I'm going to just briefly go through them. First, in order to create demand, you've got to show up as the expert in that area of specialization, helping that particular audience, that best client you've identified. So that requires that you be unique, which is a great thing because you are, right? So, but it's more than just you being you, although that's a ginormous part of it. It's also talking about your take on things. And I know that some of my clients in the past were like, well, I can't do a market update because so-and-so in my market does that, and they got a lot more followers, and what else would I say? Oh my goodness, wait a minute. There are limitless number of ways that you could create a very interesting market update for you. And this is what I'm talking about, where you have blinders on. I don't consider myself as having any competition. I just don't. And I don't say that because of arrogance, but I say it because I've spent lots of time with the Lord, and he's told me, Judy, you are made for X, Y, and Z, and you are on this path, and don't worry what anybody else is doing. And I want you to take that to heart. Go all in on who he made you to be. And when you talk about things that matter to you, your values, I'm talking beyond real estate even. What are your values? What's important to you? Right? Why do you love the area in which you live? And why did you choose even the clients that you work with or your specialization? Talk about that. And don't be afraid to turn convention on its head. If everybody right now is talking about, I don't even know, if everybody like, right, okay, I'll give you an example for me. I am so sick and tired of business coaches talking about how to recession-proof your business. I would never do it because everybody else is doing it. So I'm not going to do it. There may be another perspective on that, right? So what is constantly being said by competitors in your area, if you're paying attention, and if you're not, great, then just go all in. But that's the point. Thought leadership. You don't worry what anybody else is doing. You are the expert for the best client audience that you've determined. Okay. Next, clearly identify the results that you get your clients. I want you to make a big promise. And I'll give you some examples, I think, coming up. But then you say, well, Judy, that's stupid. I sell houses. Wait a minute. Do it from the perspective of your best client. What are they looking for? And is there a way for you to say it in a way that's different? And you'll see when I chose the best client and kind of what I did earlier in this masterclass, I talked about results, right? I'm going to sell your house for top dollar, or I'm going to find you an off-market property and I'm going to negotiate the best price, right? So is there something unique in the way of a result that your best client wants that you can put out there? Now, God just told me, and I got this sense that some of you are like, wait a minute, I can't promise anything. I don't want to promise anything that I can't deliver on. Well, that comes from a place of what? Fear. Okay. You can't promise things because the market is the market, but you can certainly say, these are the results that I've gotten for my past clients. And this is what I love to do for my clients when I'm able. Right. But I don't want you to make any decisions based on fear. That will always be a loser decision. Okay. And then the last part of the demand formula is delivering to the uttermost, right? Delivering them an experience that makes them say, my goodness, I have never had an experience like this. Carolina is my client, and she is here on the masterclass, and she is my realtor when I moved from Pennsylvania to South Carolina. I told her, I'm blown away, sister, by how you do what you do, how you treat your buyers, what you provide them with in the way of resources, and how you show properties. I mean, that was impeccable delivery, you know? So I don't want you to think, well, doesn't everybody do this? I don't care what everybody else does. I want you to put your brain to work and say, knowing my best client and what they want, how can I give them a smooth process? Because we know moving is stressful, but how can I make this actually less stressful and more fun, right? So I want to introduce you to Nikki. She's a real estate broker. She launched her own brokerage just this year. She had been paired with someone else, and there was a falling out of sorts, or they just decided to go their separate ways. And almost every agent went with Nikki. And now ever since then, like, agents seek her out. She's opening another branch. That's the reputation and the brand that she's established. And why? Because she clearly identified the type of agent she wants. She has developed a reputation as a specialist in her neck of the woods in Oklahoma. And so not only do clients seek her and her brokerage out, even though it's brand new, they're following her, but the agents are seeking her out. They want to jump in. That's creating demand. So she makes multiple six figures in her own personal real estate production and multiple six figures as a broker owner. She's created demand. All right, shift number 3 is all about sales. Sales is noble. And why is that? Because sales is service. Oh my goodness. This is what too many women say about sales. Oh, I feel like I'm bothering people. I hate being salesy, and salespeople are bullies and manipulators. And I'm not really a salesperson. Don't call me a salesperson, one of my clients said. It's like, no, you can change the nomenclature. But the idea is sales is not a dirty word. And it's not about bragging about you, but it is about putting out there into the world why you are the expert and the great choice for your clients, right? So let's go to scripture, because scripture is truth. Hallelujah. And so Proverbs 31:18, that is a go-to scripture for me. That is the wife of noble character. And in that verse, scripture tells us that her trading was profitable. And she had she was a serial entrepreneur. She bought and sold fields. She made clothes, I think. She had servants or employees that she provided for. It's amazing. You got to read Proverbs 31 if you haven't in a while. Sales and selling and owning a business is a noble profession. And then Acts 16:14, Lydia. You'll remember she was an entrepreneur selling purple cloth. Purple was expensive in that day, right? And she was noted to be a God-fearer. So we're not talking about selfish ambition. Selfish ambition, let's throw this out of the water. If your heart is to serve clients, then your ambition is not the selfish ambition that is talked down upon in the Bible. Okay. Selfish ambition is I couldn't care less about my client. All I care is money in my pocket. Right. And that is not any of you, I'm sure. Right. So that's the enemy's lie, saying he wants to keep you small. He wants to keep you down. So he says, oh, you're not really a good Christian because you have big goals. That's nonsense. Okay. Let me tell you something else. Matthew 25 talks about the parable of the talents. You'll remember, certain people got 5 talents, and I don't even know what a talent is. It's a piece of something. I don't know if it's money, whatever it was, but I liken it to your talent, to your skill set, because it works, right? So the parable of the talents is, what did the master say to the one who buried his talent? I'll never forget the first time I read that is, I think I was in late elementary or middle school. And I'm like, why was the master mad? And he said, you wicked, lazy servant. But you know why? Because it was like, wait a minute, you took what I gave you to prosper you and to multiply. And instead of stepping out in faith and putting it out there, you buried it. And so I'm really going to go out on a limb here and say this. I believe that when we play small, that is a sin. That is a sin of omission. And I point to the parable of the talents. Okay. When we please God, when we serve those that he's called us to serve, with the abilities and the talents and the desire even that he gave us, right? Because here's the deal. And again, to support the idea that sales is noble, you cannot serve until you sell. We cannot sit in our homes and wait for the doorbell to ring. If we don't put ourselves out there, whether in person, online, or a combination, you're not going to get clients. And so I've created, may I say, the Lord God told me, and I'm sharing with my clients what I call the Sell to Serve Advanced Sales Mastery. And it is premised on our innate abilities. What do I mean by that? When I went on TV locally here in Charleston, I talked about how women are perfectly positioned to be fantastic in sales and be amazing business owners, really positioned to dominate in sales. Why? Because sales is noble. It requires that we are relational, we're empathetic, we are others focused, right? And so again, when that is where we're looking, where we're focused, right? Then it's not about us. It's not about me. But the more I help my clients succeed, the more the Lord God is exalted, because everything I do is built upon him and his word. And the more my clients' clients are served in a powerfully beautiful way, right? Sales is noble. If we don't have selling going on, there's a lot of people looking for help and they're hurting, right? I want you to really get that. And so these innate qualities that I just talked about, the naturally relational, others focused, very service oriented, they instill trust and safety. And that is why people buy. It doesn't matter if you're not a top agent, like, the top 1%. That's nice. People like to talk about it. But in my experience, and I've had my license since 2008, a lot of the top producers, and I don't mean this to be across the board, but a lot of the ones in the Philly area that I worked with, they really didn't seem to care a whole heck of a lot about their clients. It was about the next transaction, the next transaction, the next transaction. And so I would talk against that. I felt very confident going into listing appointments, and my close rate was like 80 to 90%, because when they would bring that up, well, so-and-so is a top agent. And I said, well, here's the difference. With me, I'm committed to you. I'm not going to pass you off to somebody else, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a team, there's other ways of getting around that. But the point of what I'm saying is the words that you are using and how you talk about yourself. And the questions, that's powerful in sales, the questions you ask the other person about what is most important to you when it comes to a real estate professional. And where do you line up, and how do you highlight that that's exactly who you are? That's who they need, right? So you're establishing your credibility and your authority and your expertise, and that helps to establish trust and safety for you. And that helps them to say yes. So I want you to really think about this. If you believed that sales was noble and that sales really was another word for service, how would you do things differently? You might want to take a screenshot of this and give thought to it, prayerful thought to it. How would you follow up differently? Would you follow up more? I know some ladies are like, I don't want to be pushy. Would you ask for the appointment more frequently? Would you ask for the business? Oh my goodness. One of my first real estate clients, and I said, well, walk me through your presentation. And so we got to the end. And I said, okay, wait a minute, I missed something. At the end, I didn't hear you ask for the business. I didn't hear you ask if they were ready to sign with you. And she goes, oh, I don't do that. What? What do you do? I said. She goes, well, I just say, do you have any questions? And then I leave my card and my whatever else. And then I say, okay, let me know when you're ready. I'm like, oh my God, no. You've got to ask for the business, right? Think about it. I mean, again, I love to go to the doctor frame. So like if you have cancer and you walk into the doctor's office, is she going to assume as you're talking with her at the end of it, is she going to say, okay, let's schedule the surgery? Or is she going to say, okay, let me know. And, let me know when you're ready, right? We're the professional. And if you believe that sales was noble and it was serving, would you ask for the business more frequently if you don't right now, right? And also, would you show up differently? Would you show up everywhere as this expert. It's a whole different thing, right? It's a whole different way of looking at sales. It's not about you. It's about the other person. So Fontanise is a real estate agent in Pennsylvania. She's a local real estate association president. And she said, Judy, the mindset shift around sales changed it all, even with her life. And so in less than 12 months, she's 6x'd her production. It's insane. And it's possible for you. Okay. Shift number 4. You can work less while making more impact, and making more money. And money's not a bad word. And I don't have time to get into all that. But 1 Timothy 6:10 says the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself. That's just a tool. I love to make more money because then I can donate more. Next year, I assume that I'm going to be able to donate 6 figures. That's pretty exciting stuff. Advancing the kingdom. You can work less while having more impact and having more money. But how do you do that? It requires that you leverage. You leverage your time and your efforts through systems. What kind of systems? Marketing systems, sales systems, delivery systems. We alluded to that earlier. Also, here, I want to focus this for just a moment, ladies, and that is leveraging through marketing assets. And I'm not talking about your broker assets. That's theirs. I'm talking about yours. Case studies. Judy, I don't know what a case study is. Okay. At the end, we'll have an opportunity to talk. You can get a slot on my calendar and we'll talk about case studies, but those are powerful. How about this? A pre-listing package or a pre-buyer's package. Do you have one? What's in it? And then how about this one? An on-demand pre-appointment presentation. Have you ever heard of that? How many people do it? Not many. But can you imagine if you had all these beautiful assets, which could be hard copy and online, kind of a combination, that when you actually sit down with somebody, they could almost be pre-sold. Then it's just a matter of just asking questions and kind of signing the contract. This is what I'm talking about. When you have these systems and these assets in place, you do not have to work around the clock. You've got things working for you. Okay, so let's do the math. Let's say you get 40 leads a month in whatever you're doing. And that may sound like a big number. When you break it down, it's 10 leads a week or 2 leads a day. So you can get them by meeting people in person or by meeting people online, whatever it is. But what if 20% of those leads converted to your on-demand pre-presentation? And then half of them said, let's go, let's make the appointment, and they sign a client. Right? That's 4, I did the math, would be 4 clients a month. 4 clients a month. What are you doing now? And when you look at the math right here, math doesn't lie. When you look at that, do you see how doable it is? Okay. Now this is really going to blow your brain. Let's say 3 of the 4 sell in that month. And let's say your average gross commission is $350,000. Like that's the average sales price of your home. And I know it's going to vary wherever you are. Some of you may be significantly less, others it may be a heck of a lot more. But your side would get 3%. That'd be about $10,000, right? And if you have an 80% split, which if you don't, let's chat, but $8,000 per sale times 3 a month, that's 24 grand a month. What would that be? That's like over 250,000 for the year. Do you see that that's doable? Now look, this is a simple business foundational model, but you still got to work. We know this, okay? But you're not killing yourself and you're not chasing people. You're leveraging where you can. So that was based upon 40 leads a month. What if you could get 80 leads a month, quality leads a month that were your ideal client? You could make almost 50,000 a month. Now I know some of them, some months you have 1 sale, some months you have 5 sales, right? But this is just on average. But let's just say 1 of those 4 clients sold in a month. When you do the math, again, it's $8,000 coming to you. 8,000 a month is 100,000 a year. So doable, right? Here's the thing. With God, all things are possible. Do you believe that? Like some time ago when I was sitting with the Lord, and it really came to me where I'm like, you know what? I say that all the time, but am I acting like it? Am I really believing it? That was convicting. That was insane. And here's Carolina. She's a real estate agent and a team leader. She's a busy wife and mom, community leader. She's active in her church. She's got a multi-six-figure business. And how did she do it? A standout brand, systems in place, and she provides unparalleled client experience, right? All right, the final shift, investing in a mentor results in quicker success. Faith-fueled business is what I'm talking about here. So if faith is important to you, then you have to ask a question. Okay, great. Well, what makes a great mentor? Because I'm sure if you invested in yourself, you may have spent money and did not get a return on that. And I mourn that. There's so much of that in our industry, and I really mourn that. So I thought I'd give you a couple of questions that I know were important to me when I was looking for a mentor over the years. So for me, are they Christ-centered? I don't want to work with those that don't believe in Christ, those that claim, crystals or law of attraction nonsense, or, the universe, and they capitalize the U. It makes me sick. Okay. That makes me sick. And I don't want to be pulled into their lies because I don't believe in it. So that was important to me. Are they Christ-centered? And is the process that they're going to teach me, does it have faith as a foundation? Again, I personally don't want to be in a room and consume things with my eyes and my ears, right? Things that don't align with who I am in Christ and what he has for me. It never ceases to amaze me how many women they, read, and it used to be me too, but God convicted me on this. We are holy. We are intended to stand apart. So yes, believe me, I love people more now than ever. I just had a birthday last week. I'm almost 60 years old. I love people more now than ever. It's not about judgment, okay? But it is about being discerning and saying, do I want to allow that stuff in when it doesn't align with my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ? So that's important to me. What else makes a great mentor? Maybe you'll ask, have they achieved what you want to achieve? Have they been where you are? Right? Are their clients getting great results? Here's another huge one. Are they accessible to their clients? So many coaches out there, and mentors they put themselves out there like they're going to be there. But when you get inside the program, you're like, wait, who's this person that I'm talking to? And have you ever sold a house in your life? That's important to me. Are they committed to providing meaningful, ongoing support? I've also been in situations where they talked about, you'll get support. First of all, what did they do? This one person that I paid dearly for, the person assigned to me, her last job had been a Disney character. I kid you not. And the support, I'd submit things for review and I basically got a rubber stamp. Atta girl, keep going. I'm like, wait a minute. So when you work with me, I give you like a detailed video feedback, a feedback video that I take you through and get real specific and granular because that's what you're looking for, not a rubber stamp. So ask them, what exactly does the support look like on a day-to-day? And then finally, is joy built in? And I love this picture with a couple of my mastermind clients. We do some hard work, but all the while, there's the joy. There has to be the joy. So does this mentor prioritize the joy, or are they more like the hustle, the side hustle kind of thing? That's just not me. And maybe it's you. And this is what's important to me, but I want you to create your own set of parameters. If I were to invest, I would want her to be this, and this. Okay. You can use this as a model. All right. So meet Kim. She's a real estate broker owner. She straddles 2 different states, Delaware and Maryland, and she's well above 300,000 in revenue. And why? Because she streamlined systems, and more than anything in the last year, she's really gone all in on who she is in Christ. She's a lot more confident in her decision-making, and it's such a beautiful thing to see, the growth. So let's do a quick recap on these 5 shifts to 3x your business. Okay. So again, when you go back, if you want these slides, reach out to me and I'm happy to give them to you. But I want you to go back to that one word, doing the math. And I want you to figure out how many leads am I bringing in a month right now? And then what would have to happen to 3x that? And by the way, here's an awesome thing. You don't necessarily need to 3x your leads. If your leads right now are not good quality leads, you may not need 3 times what you're bringing in. But what you will need is less of them would be all right, as long as they really are your best client, right? Number one. Number two, if your sales mastery had improved, and instead of having a 50% or a 70% conversion when you have a presentation, what if that were closer to 80 or 90%? You don't need as many leads. So don't think if I say 3x, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to get like 400 leads a month. Not necessarily. Okay. So anyway, as a recap, we talked about establishing a sophisticatedly simple business model built on simplicity, clarity, and leverage so that you can have a profitable, sustainable business. We talked about creating demand, like you being in control of the quality and the quantity of your leads. And how is that? By consistently showing up for your audience with value they want, and providing impeccable delivery once they sign on, right? Because then you have this army of you have your own marketing through your past clients, right? We also talked about selling is noble. And so we approach sales from a perspective of selling is service. And so it's something that I want to do. It's something that feels great to serve. And by the way, God set me up naturally to succeed in sales. We also talked about doing the math. I showed you how making $100,000 is so possible, even in your first year in real estate, and scaling to multiple 6 figures can be done while working less. It's about leverage again. And then the last shift was investing in a mentor. It leads to quicker success, but you got to choose wisely. So you have to do your due diligence. So now that we've gone through all the substance of it, you have a choice. So what will you do? I want you to take advantage of this opportunity to have a chat with me, right? I've set aside time later this week and also next week to meet with me personally via Zoom, and I'm happy to record it. And we're going to personally map out your best year for next year. And we're going to look back to the concepts that I shared during today's class. And trust me, whatever your biggest challenges are, whether it's the action part or the thinking part or a combination, believe me, I've seen it all. And I know how to overcome any challenge. And no doubt I've helped clients get over that. So you're going to leave with this roadmap so that you can see how doable it is to 3x or maybe 5x or even 10x your business right now. So during the session specifically, as I said, I'm going to craft a step-by-step strategic plan for you to hit your revenue goal, no matter how crazy you do. You said it. You may be very ambitious and say, you know what, I made 100 this year. I'm going to make 300 or 400 next year. Great. Let's map it out. What has to happen? I'm also going to craft this step-by-step to let you see how you can create demand so that you can work only with the best clients. You don't have to work with just those that have a pulse and say, hey, I want to work with you, but then they treat you, poorly. We've all been there. I'm also going to show you how to work more efficiently with intentionality and focus so that you can be more productive than ever as you leverage your time. It's so valuable. And we're going to talk about how to approach decision-making from a faith-fueled perspective. And you're also going to receive my listing and buyer presentation frameworks. And the cost is $0. It's 100% complimentary, but the value is truly priceless, right? Because we're going to take the concepts that we talked about here and apply them to you personally. But I will tell you, you do have to answer some questions because I want to make sure that the slots that I have available go to those who are committed, those who love the Lord Jesus Christ, and those who are action takers. Victim mentalities, nope. Tire kickers, nope. The uncommitted, nope. Those, I will, I don't know that I had this in the application, but when we chat, I'll know. And if I'm sensing that you don't know Jesus, I will say, who is Jesus Christ to you? And if it's clear that he is not your Lord, I'm going to end the conversation respectfully. Okay. So I'm telling you, forewarning. Okay. So why do I offer my time freely? Because I'm on mission, sister. I'm on mission to normalize miraculous results for Christian female entrepreneurs. And so I dedicate my time to do this. So I want you to schedule your free goal mapping session. Here is the link, bit.ly. You can take a screenshot of this, bit.ly/2023 goal mapping, all lowercase. So again, bit.ly/2023 goal mapping. Spaces are limited. I have some slots in Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and I think next Thursday. So if you want to take advantage of this, and I hope you do, then I would encourage you to get your spot sooner than later. All right, let me see where I am here. The chat. All right. There are a couple of guys on here. I wished my assistant could have been on it because, it's not really for them. All right. Love having scripture to back this up. Love you, Judy. I love you too, Carolina. Lost my connection for a moment. Agree about the qualifications for a coach or mentor. Okay. So there's, Lynn and Carolina. If you have any questions, I will stay on for another 5 minutes. I am happy to coach you through some of this stuff or answer your questions. So do either of you have a question? And if so, show your beautiful face and unmute yourself. Going once? Come on. Going twice? Okay. All right. Well, listen, thank you for joining me. And I'm sure there's going to be so many watching on replay. I encourage you to take advantage of the session with me. It's going to be about 30 minutes and you will walk away feeling so good about what is possible for you. And I really don't care what your production has been in the past. There is no limit. Next year is the year I'm making $1 million. And I say that I'll be honest, 90% confidence that that's what's coming. And when I have 100%, then I know I'm going to hit it. But have I made $1 million in a year? No. If you know where I come from, if you've seen my house, you'd be like, wow. But you know what? There's a lot of work that I've done. I've invested significantly in mentors, and it has changed my life. And so it will be my joy to impart some of that wisdom for you if you are amenable to that. So bit.ly/2023 goal mapping. So for now, I will say goodbye. Mwah! Love you so much and look forward to seeing you soon. Have a blessed Thanksgiving.